Welcome to the Green Grassroots of Football with me, Andy Glover.
Me, Mark Winter.
And before we go further, I would just like to thank our sponsor, Rachel's Bookkeeping, for all of your bookkeeping needs. As you can guess, Ben is still not with us. And having explored loan options to other podcasts before the last episode, a Saudi-backed oil-rich podcast came in for Ben in the last minute in order to grow their podcast community, and Ben is now the Jordan Henderson of podcasts, as previous allies criticise his choices. It remains to be seen if he will sacrifice his tax-free podcast lifestyle in order to try and force his way back into the international podcast scene. So, on to the episode, and as usual, a quote. At a young age, athletes have to play and play as much as possible. Play in the street. In my day, we could, and now maybe it's not possible, but play and play and play, and that's all. And let them play day and night, and let them make mistakes. Then, some advice to help them understand how we play the game is good. It's Pep Guardiola, being a manager. For this episode, we're following on from the last, which looked at children joining a football club, and we're going to discuss the parent of the child being so enthusiastic, that they decide to become really involved and take on the role of manager of the team. I'd like to welcome back this week's special guest, James Slee-Evans. Welcome back, James.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming back. Again, 2 weeks later, I really appreciate you coming back, making the effort again, coming down. It's a long way to come. Especially a second time running. You're a real sucker for punishment, come back again. Again, both Mark and I have gone through the same route. Mark is currently the under-10s girls juniors manager, and I am the under-8 girls manager, whilst at the same time being the under-16 boys manager, where Mark assists. And I've previously ran through 2 other teams here, so as you can see, real suckers for punishment. Right, James, your role. Do you want to... we'll come to you straight away. What's your current role now? Because I've just said what myself and Mark do. What's your current role?
Fry's under-7 girls manager.
Okay. And how did you get suckered into?
How did I get suckered into it? Honestly, I didn't actually. I don't think I really thought that I wanted to do it. It was sort of sprung on me. Mark asked me out the blue. I think you asked a couple of times actually. I think you sort of hinted that you were going to need it.
3 or 4 weeks.
Hinted you were going to need it.
Yeah.
Very subtly.
Subtly and helping out to begin with.
And then I suppose the reason I didn't say yes initially was because, like you do, you hope someone else is going to step forward and do it, don't you?
Yes. You do.
And it was sort of like 3 or 4 weeks later, and no one else had stepped forward, and you could see that my youngest daughter Karis and her peers, you could see they were ready for what's for something else, something a bit more than Wildcats, and I'm from a background where I was a youth worker, worked with children most of my life with a little bit of a hiatus in between, and I didn't want them to miss out on an opportunity. I'm sure eventually someone would have stepped up, but I didn't want it to sort of delay, and someone had to step in. So and I stepped in, and it didn't take too much longer actually. Once that first person stepped forward, it didn't take too much longer. I convinced another dad who's in my daughter's class to join me, and that's Paul, and then we had Justin join as well, pretty much around the same sort of time to different levels of commitment. But it just takes that one person, doesn't it?
Now you've got Mark as well.
And now we've just taken on Mark as well, who's all 3 of them have got daughters.
So it's perfect. A team of 4.
That really makes a difference. That extra person, definitely.
Mark, we've discussed a number of episodes that you made the mistake of turning up on a regular basis with Brad and Corey. What about your current girls team?
That was almost. I said it was just before COVID, so we'd started. Imi was playing, and to be honest, I wanted her to go and play with the boys. They had a manager, so it was down to her stubbornness of wanting to play for a girls' team, basically. So that was it then. There was obviously nobody. At the time when IMI started, the team we were looking at for IMI, there was more of what are now our under 11 girls. So the summer of 2000, I'm going to say 2020, obviously with COVID going on when IMI started, it was obviously, people remember what it was like.
Very quiet.
Yeah. So it was, I don't know what we're going to do here. So the event, well, we were potentially going to look like, IMI will play a year up, and we'll look to set up the one team and have a mixed team. And that was May time, and May, June, and we think, like, okay, that's where we're going to go. By, bizarrely, the end of July, they'd split. We had so in suddenly of thinking, I'm just going to be running one team to help him. I had an age group which I didn't have a daughter in team, and an age group below, and so I ended up having to recruit 7 coaches to come and help me, and this was within a month. It was all, in some ways, how you look back and you think, actually that was quite impressive to get that done from May, June, during a pandemic. There were 5 or 6 girls. Suddenly we had 30 girls turn up, and it was like, oh my giddy, yeah. But we managed it. We managed to get 4 coaches and for each one. But for the first, from say September to Christmas, I was having so the IMI's team was playing in the afternoon. The under 11 girls were playing in the morning, so I was helping do both of them, whilst also helping Andy with the under. Well, they were probably 12s or 13s back then, maybe even younger as well. But we got there in the end, and that's how that started out of panic and chaos, basically, with IMI's team. But yeah, it was her stubbornness because she wouldn't play with boys. If she said she was going to play with boys, none of it would have happened.
Before I sort of give you a bit of background on me, I'm sure I had before. In case you hear background noise, again we're in Sunbelt Pavilion, the home of Fight Club JFC, and obviously for Ben, Red Falcon. I've just mentioned that, Ben. Even though you're off being your tax-free international lifestyle, I thought I'd mention you. Me, well, I had mentioned this before. I was 22, and I was working behind the bar in the old Fight Club, and the parent of a player who I'd played with at Somerdale Wanderers back in the day came in and said, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing really, just doing this." He was, "Fancy you interested in running the team?" I was like, "What?" "Oh yeah, they're playing. Come down next Sunday." So I finished my shift the following week, went down to watch. They were utterly battered. I mean, they were torn apart. Turns out I was watching an under-9s game where the under-9s that I was taking on had one under-9. They had about 13 under-8s and 7 under-7s. And we were facing an under-9s team. Yeah, and that was the sort of team that I was there. And at the end of the game, it was the chairman, the under-14s manager was refereeing. I didn't know this. I thought, we've got a referee in the team. Nope. There was another manager who'd come down to help out. The chairman and the secretary were there, and at the end of the game, they walked over. And people think I'm joking. Now, this is exactly what happened. They walked over, said, "Right, there's your kit bag, there's your bucket, good luck." And they walked off. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, well, like I said before, people think I'm joking. I'm not. They did. They walked over, did the 2 buckets, and they just walked off. And I'm left there with a kit bag and a bucket, and a bunch of parents looking at me. Who the hell's this 22-year-old kid? Because I said to Mark before on the podcast, I had long hair back then, in a ponytail. Yeah, long hair in a ponytail, 22-year-old guy, just like looking utterly bemused at what I just seen, and parents looking at me going, hello, I'm so and so. Okay. And that was my but I said before, I was sort of telling you, I was like, yeah, I want to do this.
Someone needed to do it.
Someone needed to do it.
Well,
the guy who had done it, I'd actually played with him at the same team as well, as a younger guy. We'd all played together as like 9, 10, 11-year-olds with the secretary's son. We'd all played in the same team, funny enough. But he'd said he was interested. He hadn't turned up 3 or 4 weeks running. So he decided not to. So he was my age as well. He was only sort of 21, 22. That team were under 15s. And I had 3 nephews interested in playing. So I was like, and 2 of my brother and my sister were like, "Oh, do you fancy running their team?" was like, oh, okay then, why not? The other one lived further away, but I added them to the team. So we were, as under 15s, they were under 5s, and under 16s, they were under 6s. So that team finished, and straight away, under 7s playing games, went through with them. By the time we were under 12, none of them were playing for me. Without sounding harsh, I dropped all of them. They just, unfortunately, weren't good enough. Because my team were a very, very good team back then. Really were a good team. By that time, I think is Callum first team in the first team?
Yeah.
Current one of the members of the first team was with me. Very good. Scored captain, yeah. Scored 65 goals one year. Yeah, so we had a very, very good team, first division. That went through. I think we were under 15s, and my captain, a boy named Sam Kipling, his dad said to me, his younger brother, Ollie, is interested in playing. You'll be his manager, won't you? Oh, come on. He's 5. Yes, here we go again then. So, did the same. But got to under 6s, I had about 4 players. 3-4 players. So, the year above me manager, Dave Francis, where me and him went to 3 or 4 schools and run training. Each school did a training session. And luckily, that's when Mark's boys came along, and we did picked up about 12 boys. And that, as Mark said, the last training session of that under 6 year, I picked up about 12 boys, and we had enough to start a team. And, yep, we're now in our under 16 year. I don't do under 18s, so we're in our final year. And this is my 30th year now. I've been doing it since '94. This is my 30th year, and I was like, this is it. I'm done. Mainly because if I start another team now, I felt that if we run through another 12 years, I'll be 64. Will I be able to give to the players at 64 physically what they need? You know, and I didn't know, and I was like, no, I think that's enough. And then, last year or year before, my daughter said, your granddaughter, she's interested in football. You'll be a manager, won't you? Oh, God, not again. But I thought about it as like, with all the coaching I've done, all that, can I stand and watch somebody else tell my daughter how to play football if I think they're wrong? Because I'll be the one taking her. So,
have you seen some? You must have seen some of these Premiership managers, these Premiership coaches. Some of them are, there's experience there.
Yeah. But they don't run around with them. We do it differently to those. We're doing the running. We're physically having to run with them. But so now I'm into my 4th team.
I've not seen you run around.
Exactly. But the interesting thing, of course, is it's my granddaughter now. I've been doing it a year and a half now. The under 8 with them. My granddaughter now says, "Hi, Granddad, I've had enough. I'm not doing football anymore." It'd be like, well, never mind. Off you go. I've now got my team because I'm fully committed now. I'm into it again. But anyways, that's my history of 30 years of getting in football too much. Anyway, so I got a couple of bullet points. So the first thing, and you've actually alluded to already, James, getting your management team together.
Yes.
How did you do it? You have alluded to it, but was it quite literally just you knew them from school?
It was very organic. Yeah. I already, you like we said in the previous episode, you make friends during these sessions, and there's some dads that I already knew from the school and stuff, but got to know them a bit better. Having also spent extra time with them at the Wildcats, standing there watching our daughters and stuff, and there was one person in particular that I'd already sort of thought I'm going to ask him if he can do this with me, and that was Paul, and he golfs every weekend. He's a bit fair weather golfer, but he loves his golf, and I wasn't too sure he was going to do it, to be honest, and good on him. He threw himself straight in, and I think he's hooked. There is. We're at that stage now where there's a competitive element. I think he's a bit like me. Obviously keeping it fun, but I can feel that he's enjoying it. And I can't remember. I think you might have asked Justin. Mark.
Yeah, I think Justin.
I already knew about Justin. I didn't know him that well, and I think you asked Justin.
Yeah.
And then
was that after the tournament? He
came to volunteer again.
He massively helped out the tournament.
He helped out at the tournament.
He was so good for us.
And obviously sounds awful. Like you said, you get to know people and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and it's the commitment. And obviously, you were coming, and he was there all. And somebody like Justin, again, you know he's going to be Mr. Reliable.
Yeah.
He will be there, week in, week out. Seems fair enough. I said you know these people in these.
You want
periods.
consistency, don't you?
Yeah.
You need that.
And yeah, because the girls, they need that. Well, and the boys and whatever team, you need that
You need
reliability.
to be, because that's what builds a relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, I think in grassroots football, you've not got to be Pep, Jurgen Klopp, or anybody like that. They just need somebody A, who will listen, B, give the kids respect, and B, will inevitably 99% of the time be there for them. And you've got to be there for these kids. They'll all have different issues at times and stuff, and you've got to have the patience. You need somebody who's patient, somebody who's just not going to shout and abuse. Again, I have this big thing, and it's difficult, and there has to, like you said, there has to be that competitive edge.
Yeah.
You do that, but generally, you don't want somebody who's going to come off if the girls have lost or the boys have lost 10-0 in the end, who will just give them doodahs.
Yeah.
I have been known to lose my temper and stuff, but for me,
No, surely not, Mark.
the main. Because there is that competitive edge, and
but that's important. Yeah,
then you rein yourself in after, you might, but you never.
Yeah, that's where me and Mark sort of bounce off each other a bit because I'm less like that. So he has that sort of what's the word for it? He has the sort of the shouty edge, and I have that more less shouty edge, I suppose. And so we sort of balance each other in the boys' team certainly.
Yeah, I mean, I said I'm probably more like you with the girls' team and balance it out with a couple of who, you know, they're generally they are very, very, very good, but can.
So you have to be the more laid back one, like me in boys' team.
I mean, and the thing with the boys' team, my issue is I don't like sometimes if they have the wrong attitude and stuff. That winds me up more with the boys. That winds me up.
But to me, I see the reasons behind sometimes. And I think, you know, say some players, you think, oh, they've not turned up. And I think, well, actually, that boy, perhaps we've had him sub for the last 2 months, say. And I can see why he's not turned up this week, or he's late. Yeah, and I take that into account, whereas to Mark, well, he's just not turned up. You know, or somebody else is late, he's always late. Well, I see the reason why. Well, because his parents aren't interested in supporting him. So he's having to make his own way, whereas Mark's view is, well, he should still get here on time. Yeah, and so you know, so there's that.
16, so I think
because he's 16 now.
They're 16 and they take the responsibility. And we had, I mean, it could have gone horribly wrong, I must admit. With about 3 minutes to go, I thought, oh, God, I'm going to get some stick here. We were playing our last game, we were winning 3-0. And because there were certain boys that don't ever get taken off. They think, you know, they just don't get taken off.
They don't think it, but we keep them on because we need to. We generally keep them on because we need to in a lot of games. This is where I
disagree. They do, because as soon as you take them off, they give you what for, and they're the ones that are playing 90% of the game.
They look surprised when you take them off.
Yeah, they don't like it. But we have some other boys that are subs constantly and start constantly, and you know, these boys might be but only slightly better than the others, but we keep them on.
Yeah.
We don't take them on, and you take them off. And it's like, and I don't like that attitude because you're part of a team and part of a squad, and yet they're the ones that we will then play 90% of the time. Yeah. But then, unfortunately, then came back to 3-2, and we just hang on for the win.
So bear in mind, he takes his players off, and suddenly from 3-0 up to 2 weeks ago, we're hanging on at 3-2.
But you've also that these boys. But I don't think that the fact that we conceded one straight away. It didn't make any difference, and then we had chances. But they've got to realise as well that I see that they're part of a squad. It's a part of 15, 16, and it's not fair on, say, the other 9 to 10, and they never come off, because they think that they are, but that's different things. And now those boys are slightly older. It's 16, and winning is more important, and they're a good player, and so you know each is different. But for the younger girls and
I'll come back to a story there anyway. But carry on.
Yeah. What we go with the younger, which I've learned from Andy, And again, it's probably detrimental to my, say, under 10 girls team, is we play equal time. At under 10 girls, which Andy, and to be fair, when that age group, it didn't matter who you were, you could have been Lionel Messi,
or me,
and Andy or myself, you played the same amount of time. And I'm doing that with the under 10 girls.
I think that's fair. I mean,
because you're part of
And just from my own experience growing up, I didn't actually even realise that I was athletic until I was probably about 15 or 16. You know, if you give some of those girls, if they're on the bench most of the time,
they're never going to improve.
They're never going to know. You know, at that age, they need it. I think they do need equal time on the bench. I think it's
at a younger age. But I will go back to my very first team, and I gave them Sportsman of the Year. I have to admit, I gave the kids Sportsman of the Year for this. But we were under 16s. We were 3-2 up, and we were under 15. Sorry, 3-2 up, and we are second. We go for the league title here, and we're 3-2 up. We're holding on, and it was 15 minutes to go, and I had this one sub left to go on. I hadn't been able to get him on. I was like, I've got to put you on. And he said, no. I was like, what? What do you mean, no? He goes, don't change it. Just for the sake of getting me on, don't change it.
Yeah. And that's
so he knew the players on the pitch were better than he was, and he knew that putting him on could potentially cost us the game.
And that's
a team sport right there. There's no.
But going back to what Mark's saying about our current team, I think there are players on the pitch. If you said to them, "Look, I'm gonna give these 3 or 4 more time on the pitch than everyone else," I think the majority would say we understand.
I think I agree. For the majority of the time, they do.
Yeah.
But when it's said, I do think it said we have.
If we'd have lost the game, I think the majority of would have looked at you and gone,
"Oh, I'd have got daggers."
Luckily we didn't. Luckily we won the game.
And
you were getting nervous come those last 5 minutes.
The last, it was, oh god, here we go. But it was only because I think, but we hadn't played well that whole second half any case.
In fairness, it was 3-0 by half time. It should have been 7. Yeah. Maybe 8. It really should have been.
And then the second half we didn't play particularly well. But
we were holding them happily, but just weren't playing anywhere near as well. We digress. We digress.
And that's just one game. But again, you can look at other games, and it goes the other way where Andy, and that's why people got to understand it's a game of making of opinions, and you can't get it right. We had that cup game, didn't we, against Rovers?
Yeah, and arguably I cost us that.
And it was the opposite.
I cost us that because I brought the player on who wasn't strong enough.
It was 0-0, 15, 20 minutes to go.
Not even that, maybe even 10.
And we brought a player on.
We lost 3-2 in the end. But I felt Rovers, got to get him on.
And Rovers had the same lad of the same ability, and they brought on with 20 seconds to go.
Yeah, if that, 20 seconds.
Wow. But they won the game.
They won the game with 2 goals. So in fairness, the second goal was, I think, a breakaway because we were pushing for it. But they'd got the goal after I made that change. And that's my fault. I felt I should get him on. Had we been at home, maybe I'd left it a bit longer, but we'd gone away as well to their place, which was further travel. But yeah, I wasn't as hard as I was with my previous team, which is the first team where we ended up making county cup finals, league cup finals, winning divisions. That's the team where the kiddie said, no, don't put me on. Whereas this team, we're a bit lower down in division-wise. I was a bit softer, as it were.
And it's difficult to do. And by the FA, Andy did the right thing that game.
But it cost the team, cost the players.
But
did players leave again? Did we lose potentially another of our best players to a local rival? We've lost players to local rivals over the years. Did potentially another player leave because of that? Not because of that cup,
I hear about this stuff.
But decisions.
I know it does happen even at this level.
It does, and it does all the time, and it does with, and it will do with girls' football. I mean,
I think Ben
lost one.
Ben lost one. Yeah.
I've already lost a player.
Yeah, you've lost a player.
Although I believe
they still.
I've heard. Though in fairness, I've heard the player was always going to go. They were just waiting for the team they wanted to go to have enough players and a manager because the older sibling was already there.
Yeah.
So, but I just wish they.
I don't think that was. I'm not sure how much was communicated to the girls because the girls, I don't think at their age, they don't really understand why that's happening.
Why?
And I think they still there's a thing there. You know, they've played that team a couple of times now, and they always talk about it. They always, oh, there she is. You know, she's playing, we're playing against her.
But what baffles, and again with that one, and some of the players that have left us with parents, if the girl had left to go for a team that was playing 3 or 4 divisions above Fry's and might increase her, then you think, okay, I get it. She's playing Fry's, so she's in the same freaking league. And it's not a league thing. That baffles me.
Yeah, when you think back to our current boys team, we've lost, I think, 4 players to other teams. One went to a team who was second division, who are now first division. Fully understand that, Aaron. Fully understand that. Another one left to go to a second division team, but they've dropped to the third, I think.
Yeah.
Which is, and then the other 2 went to our same division as us. It's like, really?
So for better, that I don't get. No. And you know, friendships, and you do have disagreements with people.
We say about friendship. Both players have been with us for at least 5 years.
I mean, I think you've got to be realistic.
Maybe longer than 5 years, you know.
I'm not stupid. I don't think all my parents think I'm the best coach in the world. They all must you make decisions. They must think, oh, what is he doing? He don't know. And you'd be idiotic to think otherwise. But I think what parents don't appreciate at times is A, your volunteers.
Yeah.
B,
they definitely don't appreciate it. No, they definitely don't.
And B, that you have lives outside and stuff like that. And like Andy says on these podcasts and stuff, I'll look at my phone in a minute. I'll have 15, 20 messages from different things. It's that if you go to another club, it's going to be the same doodah when you go to another club. You will get different clubs have different philosophies, of course. You'll have some that are just going out to win at all costs. I think grassroots football, if you want to play for a team that wins at all costs, there are you got your JPLs, you can that level. Grassroots is not about win at all costs. It's lovely to win, don't get me wrong. To win a trophy at the end of the season is fantastic. But for me, like I said, if you're becoming a manager, which I've tried to encourage to all of them, if you could have a result of at the end of the season, if you played 20 games, you've probably won 8, drawn 4, lost 8, whatever it is, to make it. That's perfect.
And I can't even actually. We've been doing this since. I've been doing this since. When did I start? Was it September? It was September. Yeah, September. Yeah, it was just after summer holidays, wasn't it? And at the moment, and just to put it in context, I've not really even kept track of our scores at all. No. I think at this point, yes, it's nice for a win, definitely. It lifts the girls up and stuff. But at this stage, I don't think it's important.
No, I mean you're under 7 girls.
The girls are keeping track of it more than I am.
Well, we sometimes get with the boys when they were playing. Not so much the girls; they seem to be more clued on. But the boys, we had it a couple of times. I think when we played, when they'd lost 8-0, and they'd come off the pitch. Did we win?
Yeah. Even my current girls like, how do we get on? Go off a game. I had my very first team. I remember this. My very first team, we're under 15s, and it's us versus the team who eventually won it. And both times we ended up. One time we drew and one time we beat them, and it's the time we beat them, and it's a hell of a game. And we're 3-2 up with 5 to go. And I say to my striker, if you get the ball, go into the corner with it. And he goes, we want to win, don't we? I was like, we are winning. Oh, are we? Oh, God. Yeah, okay. This was a number of years ago. He wasn't the sharpest, but he was a good player.
But the losses are important as well, though.
The losses are important.
That's the thing I want to add there is lovely to win. We all love it. High fives all around. Win or lose, actually. But the losses, I think that
I think the losses
you wouldn't want to have a team of girls that were just winning all the time.
No,
because when they do eventually lose, it's going to hit them hard.
It's going to hit them hard.
My team won't get hit at all then.
Yeah. I mean, as well, my under 10 girls, and we went 2 years, we didn't lose a game.
Yeah.
We've lost games this year, and it has been, in some ways, it's been harder for them. But I guarantee, at the end of the season and stuff, they'd have learnt more about themselves, more how to deal with things, than they did the first 2 years when they won everything. because it's been more of a challenge, and you don't necessarily learn. You're not learning. If you're winning every game 6-7-0, you're not learning.
No.
And they've learned, and in some ways they've improved more this season because they've lost some games. We lost our last game.
Makes them fight harder, doesn't it?
They lost the last game 3-2, and they came off the pitch as happy as they've been because they played really good football, and we're trying to get them to pass and move. 2 of the goals we conceded where we were passing and it went wrong. They're under 10 goals. It is going to go wrong. So we conceded. But the football they were playing was so much better than it was this time last year when they were winning 8-0.
Yeah, and with the losses, it's that reflection afterwards. We've tried to do. We try and do this at the end of a training session, but we've done this in the past couple of friendlies that we've done, and we are going to try and religiously stick to this after future friendlies. But it's that once a match finishes, win or lose, we have 5 minutes to reflect. Not what did we do wrong, but what could we have done better? What.
See, the only problem there is you'll start getting the buzzwords from the girls. Pass, space. Mark knows this. You'll start getting passing the ball, space. You'll get those buzzwords because they'll pick up on the words you want to hear.
At this age,
certainly.
But again, I don't think
I'm not dissing it, but
I don't necessarily think it's bad with it because it reiterates the point. It drums it into them.
But it's not even really. I don't know whether it's necessarily about what they say in that moment. It's about giving them time to just think about what they did, and in that moment they will come. They'll come up with those.
No, I'm not against it.
But they'll go away, and they probably will continue to think about that.
Yeah, they will.
One thing I would suggest there, because I've got the issue I've got when I do this is it's the same 2 or 3 girls. So the only thing I would suggest you there is when it starts happening, say, "Right, I want somebody else to give me a word," even if it's the same word. Because I get that. All right, let's bring this back round because we've been 20 minutes.
We were talking about coaches, weren't we? And
20 minutes.
I didn't even get to mention. We'd mentioned Justin, but I do want to say we also had recently Mark join us. And what's interesting about Mark, and I spoke to his wife a bit. So another thing about me, I'm a Beaver Scout leader as well, and Mark's wife is one of my Beaver leaders, and I was speaking to her about Mark joining and stuff. And the interesting thing about Mark is he's never done anything like this before. He's never worked with children before. He has passed the DBS, just to be clear, but he's never worked, not ever volunteered or worked with children before. And on the first session, I could see it was going to be brilliant straight away.
Yeah.
Just you could see his enjoyment. You could see you could already see his passion for it. So, myself, Justin, Paul, and Mark are under sevens.
I think I've mentioned my management team in the girls because before on podcast that there are 6 of us, but all 6 of us currently are involved in some way in other teams. So we have to have that many. Now my under 16 boys will end this year, so I'll be able to devote myself fully to it. I think Simon's only tentatively involved with the tots as such, so it tends to be myself and Simon generally. But that's why we have 6. Because we've all got this other involvement, so there's no guarantees which of us will be there. So we've got a slightly bigger team, but it does work. Who's there this week? You are pretty. Who's there next week? So the girls know all of us, but we've got a slightly larger management team. And as Mark's already said, he forged his team very quickly over a short period.
And we went with 3 for a while. Mark was literally only just joined, and that 4th is I think has definitely made a difference. With the number of girls we've got, when we break off into different groups and stuff, that 4th definitely makes a difference. And there is another person that's asked me if they want to join. I don't want to overload ourselves in one here, and
I'd get them DBS.
And that's down. I think once we start in the league and stuff, I think that 5th is definitely going to make the difference as well.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a manager. You're now organising training. How's that going for you?
I don't know how much I should admit here. I think we certainly last year. I think being honest, we were making up as we went along. We started off.
Didn't we all?
We started off. Myself, then Paul and Justin. We sort of did a bit of what Wildcats were doing, but finished the session with some new stuff that they hadn't done before. Bit more work. playing with football a bit more, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then we towards the end of the year, we, you know, I said to the guys that I think again, using my experience as a Beaver Scout leader, you know, having a plan, you know, actually even I used to be a PT as well. Having a plan makes all the difference. Whether you stick to it or not, you know, you're going to divert from this stuff. But having something on paper noted down makes all the difference. So we started this year by having a bit of a sit down, and just throwing ideas out there. To be honest, what we wanted to do in the session, what we wanted to achieve from now until you know, we go to a league. And I've got it all here, actually, and just detailing a plan has made all the difference for us. We've only just done this, but we now go into a session much more confident, much more. We don't have to come up with something on the spot, sort of thing. And it's we've come into this year a lot more confident. We feel real, feel like actual coaches now.
Right. I know you get yours, Mark, a lot of your sessions from, but what's it like for you training sessions?
I said it's having, like James said, it's having that plan. Usually, a lot of the sessions you try to keep it in 6 weeks. We've started now with the under 10 girls. We've split them into, because we have 32 girls over the 2 teams. We've now split them into 6 groups. Generally, because I've now got that amount of coaches, so I have 6 different sessions, 6 different things that's going on at different times.
Might just rotate them round.
Yeah, generally.
And the 6 groups, is that just friendship groups or ability groups?
Oh, no,
or just
we're a team. So the girls aren't necessarily in the same groups every week. They will be with different people. They'll do the same routines because they'll go around, but they won't be with the same people because we are one team.
Interesting. Okay. I'll come back to that.
I won't keep them in the same groups and stuff because I just.
They shouldn't get comfortable.
No, and when you're playing, obviously you're not just playing with 6. You're going to be eventually playing with 11. So you've got to know all the girls. But everybody does it differently, so that's fine. But yeah, we have the session plans. Unfortunately, because obviously, with say the girls section with the under 10 girls, I've now got probably 8 coaches. And each coach's opinion, you've got to value their. If they've come up with an idea, I might come up with the what I want to do with the 6. But if they've come up with something, I can't dismiss that. I've got to involve them and get them involved. So it does. We tweak it from time to time, and it's not as regimental as it can be. But the principles are the same. At the moment, is the big thing we're doing is pass and move. Is our big thing. We want them moving, pass it, you know, and that is making the pitch big, then making it small. So all the 6 general things are all based around that. And that'll be what we'll do for the next 6 weeks, basically.
Obviously, we're not at that level, but you've got 8. We've only got. There's only 4 of us, but for one of the things I think we definitely all sat down. We all agreed on sort of what we wanted to achieve and came to a sort of a central decision on certain things, and it was things like communication, and we realised this sort of beginning of the year, to be honest, beginning of this year, is that when we're asking the girls to do certain things, we're all using different words for these things.
Yeah.
And we're always going to stray from this stuff because you fall into habits, but just some of these key words. We've now tried to agree that this is the word that we need to use for this situation, because otherwise you're expecting the girls to understand 4 different coaches and the way we talk and the specific words we use in these scenarios. So I think that was one of the things that we sitting down and agreeing things. That's one of the
communication is very key, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm slightly different to how you say about Mark about the groups, because we tend to all train together. So I've only got when they all turn up 14 girls anyway. They all train together in the session. So I'll run a session called the Skills Corridor. They're all just doing it together. But what I have done, and we used to do this when we were younger with the boys, is I then split into some small-sided games. That's when I do split by ability, because I want, if I've got say I've got 12 there, I'll have a 3v3 with the better 6 because I want them to be a competitive. And then I'll have a 3v3 with what I'd say a more development 6 because again I want them to have time on the ball. Because the last thing you want if you've got a small-sided game for 10 minutes is 3 strong and 3 development because the 3 development aren't going to touch the ball. So for that bit there,
going back, I said for mine,
and then they'll come back in for a session together.
Because we have the 2 teams. I do keep the juniors who are our A division team. They stay together. And the Wanderers who are the C division.
Yeah, but within your juniors, have you got stronger and development?
No, probably within their player and ability.
If you then split them into 2 small-sided games, are they all equal?
Unfortunately, this is where, it has to be because unfortunately,
but potentially, even our under 16 boys, you could split that into 2. You know,
but I would say within
not massively different, but enough that I'd say right. I want you 6 playing against each other, and then there's you 6 playing against each other. Even if it was just a height thing with the under 16 boys, I'd go right. You 6 because you're physically bigger, you're going to play that pitch, and you 6 because you're physically smaller, you'll play on that pitch. Because otherwise, you're going to have, and I'm naming names. I'm going to say I put your Corey, Bradley, and Jacob against Alan, Ollie. And basically I'm talking like over exaggerating 3 foot versus 6 foot. That game's just not going to work. So you have to also consider
the balance
of the game. So I would, if I had a small-sided game with 12 of my under 16s, a 3v3 and a 3v3, I'd consider that because they're all a very similar ability. I'd then go, okay, so it has to be a physicality matchup. But with the under 8 girls, I'd look at, okay, I want them to have touches on the ball. Therefore, I'm going to have the more development players on that side and the more advanced players on this side. It's because it is a 10-minute game I do this before going back into a coaching routine. But I certainly would still split them by that.
If I was doing it with the our under 10 juniors, because again, I look at it with, we are in the top division. We are, as one of the best teams in the area. They all have to be. This is going to sound horrible because they're under 10 girls. They have to be of a standard. If they're not in that standard, they don't probably play for us at the moment. Because
they need to understand that. They need to because I get it. It sounds horrible. It does sound horrible. It does sound horrible.
Because they're only 9, 10-year-old girls.
This is it is a lesson to learn, isn't it? That these girls, some of them might just be naturally a little bit better. But some might have actually put in more work.
Yeah, they
and if it's something you want, and you want to be in that 18,
and there is potential.
Put in a bit more work.
There is potentially. I mean, we've got a squad of 11 at the moment, and 6 of them either play for Gloucestershire or Somerset. So they're good players. Are the others weak? Probably not. But a couple, they are potentially starting to fall. But when we're training as a team, they've got to play with these county girls. So they've got to be part of that. Otherwise, they're going to go further and further behind because the girls who are at the county teams are training at least once a week more, if not twice a week more than the other girls. But we say the Wanderers who are in the C division, which is more fun, which I find actually more enjoyable because it's what more grassroots is about, is they're all at me. But yeah, you do have some girls who go, oh look, there's a train going past, and the ones who still want to play. So you do have to kind of make it so everybody's getting a fair crack of the whip. That you do have to do. But yeah, it's weird. Even instead of having the 2 age group, one in the A and one in the C, the difference in attitude, the difference in, I would say the C division team is more fun and more enjoyable and stuff, and the A one is probably heading towards ridiculously over competitive and going away from what it should be, and to rein that back in, which is kind of what we're trying to do at the moment.
But that sort of thing, where you say, the girls that notice the train going past, there's a plane, there's a train, just a little bit not in the game as much. Yeah. I think, and we've noticed with a couple of our friendlies, and there are a few girls that they all really enjoy these friendlies. They really enjoy the games, and we always make sure of that. But there are a couple of girls that are just not in the game, and it's hard. I think in the next months we are going to have to start, not quite to the extreme of that, but we are going to have to start considering that when we're doing training. Okay, these are the girls that because we did a friendly the other week, and they're, bless them, and she definitely enjoyed it. We asked her afterwards, but there was just one or two girls that they were standing there. They had a smile on their face. The game was happening around them,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't think it's fair on them, is it, for you to expect? They're obviously not. They're just not ready, you know. That and that's it.
But I've got a girl like that in my team, and she looks like she's not ready. And then in one of the games a few weeks back, the ball came to her 3 yards out, and she kicked it. Goal. And after that, for the last 15 minutes of the game, she was so different.
You're right. That's happened to us as well. There's been but certainly it's marrying them up with.
You've got to give them.
But we've then had a break since then.
Because otherwise they don't get touching the ball.
We've then had another 3-week break or 4-week break since without her.
Yeah.
And last game she was back to being that smiley girl on the pitch again.
Yeah.
So, again,
So she needs that.
FA,
She needs weekly reinforcement.
3 to 4 week break FA because there's no freaking bloody suitable pitches and stuff to stop taking 20.
But but you want her to have more ball time. You want her, and there's a few other new girls that have not. You know, it doesn't need to be the girl that notices the train going by. I keep using that, but there's a few other girls that have just joined that have never played football in their lives. You know, and you want them to have contact with the ball. If I put those three girls with the 3 girls that have been doing this since and they're passionate, and they know
like
how
Jessica, for instance.
Yeah. Those girls
Who's played? Who, by the way, has
they
played for my team in some tournaments. So exactly, she's
passionate. She's passionate, you know, and those other 3 girls are not going to get any time with the ball. So it's you know.
Yeah, you do have to. Yeah, the ability and stuff you do have to, and I said, but unfortunately,
And they might
our A division. They've got to.
In 2 months' time, they might completely. You know, they're at that age where they develop so quickly, and they, you know. Yeah. I said to you in the last podcast, I didn't even know I was athletic until I was about 15.
Yeah.
You know, they might know in 6 months' time. It's yeah.
Right. Because of earlier digressions, I've got 14 more points to get through, but we've got about 5 minutes left. So
that was you two, not me.
We may have to gloss over some of these. Let's see. Okay, let's kind of combine
that safeguarding one. Let's go past that.
Skip safeguard. Yeah, combine some of these. So organising everyone else as well as your own daughter, administration, dealing with parents. Kind of all, you can kind of put it all together as one big thing. We'll do 2 points. That's one of them. How are you finding it?
So I go back to what I said earlier. So I've got experience as a Beaver Scout leader. So I think I've already had a bit of preparation for this sort of thing. And the key thing is the planning. It's making sure you take that time to sit down and just get everything planned in one go. You do that, everything else is going to be a lot easier. The communicating with parents and stuff, the WhatsApp groups. Oh god. The communicating with parents. I actually really enjoy that part. I enjoy making sure people know what's happening next, where we're at. That's not hard for me. But the thing about having an extra coach now is now, and I enjoy the coaching part as well, having been a PT and stuff, and love working with the kids. But the thing about having that third coach now is that if I need to chat to a parent about something, or if there's someone new that's turned up, or I need to give some feedback to a parent about something that's happened, or there's a child that's upset for some who knows what reason, I can step away from the other 3 coaches, and I can give that child a bit of, you know, come down to their level. You okay? Or you can see a parent. You know, they look like they want to talk to you, but you know, now there's enough of us. But anyway, I digress. But I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been we all have full-time jobs, you know, so Beaver Scouts as well, but it's that's something I enjoy, so I think it comes quite easily.
Mark, any of those points you want to very quickly comment on?
It's a joy. I love
keep my answers
speaking to the
briefer.
parents.
Organising everyone else as well as your own.
I love it.
If you want to listen to previous podcasts,
Except
you know
the
exactly
WhatsApp
what Mark thinks of that. Okay, so we'll end for the last 2 or 3 minutes on a positive, and again I'll combine all 4 of these points. So chatty, energised, sometimes over-energised girls, watching player development, seeing friendships, and smiling faces. Mark, go for you first.
It's what it's all about, and I think I mentioned it before. Doesn't play football anymore. The best moment, one of the best moments I've had during the football journey was a young gentleman called Finn McGuinness when he scored his first goal after 2 or 3 years playing with us. All the boys jumped on him. He smiled. Dad smiled. That was probably now getting on for 8-9 years ago. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Makes it all. Moments like that make it worthwhile.
The 7-a-side pitch.
Yeah.
I know. Is that the pitch you're on about as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's what it's all about. All the grief, all the thing. Not my child, not a boy that plays football now. Is doing very well in boxing, I think, or something like that. So he's doing something really good for himself, and it made the world a difference. And that's something which the world, you know, cup final wins and stuff, which we've had with the girls. It was lovely. That's a memory that I'll probably be the one that's not involving my child that I'll probably have at the end of it all.
All right. James, any of those
Well,
points?
we've got hopefully all those experiences to come. We've only just started our journey, but yeah, just the girls being part of the team, making sure they feel part of the team, not just looking like they're part of the team, but feeling it, feeling included. It's the same stuff, isn't it? It's just making sure they enjoy it. I love that. That's
Yeah.
Well,
I'll end with a personal one actually, from the current team. As my granddaughter, this season suddenly it seems to have clicked. From last season where she was running around or walking around looking a bit lost, suddenly it seems to have clicked. And there was a game we had, I think it was Bradley Stoke, where she was away and she ran from the halfway line being chased all the way, and was like, oh my god, is this the moment? And she shot and the keeper saved it. I was like, no. But the following week she had a chance where the area the ball came to her and she scored, and suddenly it's the change in her. She's sort of more enthusiastic, and that development, you know, but over this year it's massively changed, and it's just great to see as a manager. So anyway, that's it from me. My thanks to James, thank you very much.
thank you.
My thanks to Mark.
Thank you.
And listeners, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
If you like this podcast, then please email us your questions, comments, random thoughts, anything you want to share with us at greengrassroots@gmail.com. You can contact Mark and Andy through X at Fry Club JFC or Ben at Red Falcon JFC, on Facebook via Fry Club Junior FC or Red Falcon Sport. The Fry Club JFC website is www.fryclubjfc.co.uk, and the Red Falcon Insta page is at Red Falcon JFC. You could also type out a fantastic review on Apple Podcasts or give us 5 stars on Spotify. You've been listening to a We Haven't Got a Clue What We're Doing production, produced and edited by Andy Glover.